What happened is that my husband had an accident and he broke his neck playing rugby. 2 days before his accident, I had just had my second miscarriage and it was on my birthday. And my headspace was not in the space of, oh, here we go, this is another challenge in life. This was full on, hormonally and all of that stuff. Once he was out of hospital and we'd moved into this purpose-built house a couple of years later, our daughter had gone to school, and I realized very quickly there's no way that we could survive on a disability pension and a carer's payment. But the other problem was I didn't know any other quadriplegic wives that worked because you're also a carer. So I thought, okay, I'll work from home. And I bought this market business and I knew that I could build up that company because I could bring all my marketing and everything experience into it. I think that's been the biggest change, is that I just knew, again, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I was determined to make it work. It's all about connection. So I feel that there's been a lot of bad press. People say a lot of bad things about social media. And I'm like, if you can use it for what it was intended for, which is social on social media, and find groups that are really meaningful to you, like yours, for example, then those connections that you make can change your life.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even just give us a like. And what that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's conversation. Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing. My name's Sophia from Sacred You, but of course with me today I am really excited because I get to talk to the beautiful Kylie Mowbray-Allen, who is an exceptional woman. Welcome, Kylie, to our podcast.
Thanks so much for having me here, Sophia. It's great to hang out with you.
Thank you, and like I said, it is a true honour because you live an incredible life. Right, you're an online strategist, a digital marketing expert. Oh my God, we're going to talk about Hello Media, and you help overwhelmed business owners turn into confident digital storytellers. I love that. And you uncomplify everything in this amazing world. And not only that, I do want to get into a little bit about your personal life with your amazing husband. But I'd love to know, Kylie, what first led you to this unique path of keeping marketing human, especially in this day and age?
That's a wonderful question, Sophia. And I'd like to rewind maybe 40 years because my father was a film producer. And so I grew up in a world where he didn't go off to work with a 9 to 5, etc. So he had a film production company, but he also had a marketing and distribution company. So the films he was creating, he then didn't rely on someone else to get them out. He had the company. So at weekends, I would go in and lick the backs of envelopes for his mail outs. We took it a lot of years ago. And so I was involved in things right from a very early age and stage in my life. I then went off to uni and did communications, and I majored in radio and television. And the next however many decades, whatever, I worked in that industry. But what happened, so always been involved in film, television, marketing, advertising, all that stuff, in TV and in magazines. And then what happened is that my husband had an accident and he broke his neck playing rugby. And that's now 18 years ago. So might be a little too much information, maybe, but 2 days before his accident, I had just had my second miscarriage, and it was on my birthday. And so my headspace, our daughter had just turned 4, and my headspace was not in the space of, oh, here we go, this is another challenge in life. This was, but my whole world is about having another child. It was really incredibly full on, hormonally and all of that stuff. Anyway, he was a year in hospital. We can come back to any of that you might want to later on. But basically, once he was out of hospital and we'd moved into this purpose-built house a couple of years later, our daughter had gone to school, and I realized very quickly there's no way that we could survive on a disability pension and a carer's payment. It didn't even cover the mortgage. But the other problem was I didn't know any other quadriplegic wives that worked because you're also a carer. So I thought, okay, I'll work from home. And I bought this market business with this great baby bag that I'd used when our daughter was a baby. And I knew that I could build up that company or that tiny business because I could bring all my marketing and everything experience into it. So I built a website and got it online, and Facebook was still fairly new. So my business page just blew up, and I started doing expos. Then I moved into wholesale and trade shows and all sorts of things. And it was a really incredible experience. And I eventually sold that business about 8 years ago. But even during that business, I was mentoring and coaching other businesses about getting them online. So that's why I said it was a bit of a long story how I got there. But really, it's been for me pretty much my whole life. It's just been different directions and different areas that I've moved into. And one thing I've thought of recently, my dad died really young at 48, and unexpected too. And so I've often thought how much I would love to have a chat with him now and say, look at the world, the business world you were in, and look how much it's changed. Like, here we are filming all our content with a phone, for goodness sakes, not tripods and giant cameras and sound this and boom mics here. And it's just such a different world. I've been passionate about it my whole life.
Wow. Wow. All I can say is wow. And thank you. Thank you. Can I just take a moment right at the beginning, Kylie, to really honour you?
Thank you.
Right. It's an incredible life, and I do want to go into as much as we can in this time. You may have to come back for a part 2. But just wow.
Thank you.
And yes, you've said our world is changing so much, and to have a conversation with your dad about the changes would be amazing. So do let us know if that ever happens. And now we're even moving into a world of digital creation and AI. Tell me about your relationship with AI, because many people still worry that AI will make, one thing is to take jobs, but to make things sound robotic and fake.
Yes, to all of those things. And it is. That's the reality. But that's for the people that are not aware or not that keen to learn on how to use it better. So for those that are just punching in, write me a caption about this, for example, or just something really super basic, then A, they're not training it, they're not prompting it correctly, and they're also not aware of what extraordinary things it really can do to help you. So I'm super excited about AI. I first started working officially with AI stuff around 5 years ago, or 6, maybe even 7. The very first social media marketing world that I went to in San Diego, one of the speakers was talking about an app or platform called, and this is not a good one with my accent, but it's ManyChat, ManyChat.
Okay.
And so I started using ManyChat all those years ago, and that was pretty extraordinary. So for those that don't know it, you can set it up to automate certain things. So let's say I send a message through your website and say, do you have wheelchair access? Now that's triggered on those words, and so it will give you all this, you've set it up in advance to give you all the next lot of information. So really it was like having an assistant that you have prepared in advance. But there was a lot of AI going on in the world anyway, but people just didn't really realize it. So then what happened is ChatGPT bounced onto the world, into the world, and that's when people started freaking out about AI. But it's actually been around for a lot longer. I agree on the thing that it's extremely worrying about jobs and things, but so was it when the wheel was invented and the people that made carts for horse and carts. So there's been things throughout the entire history of the world that have changed the face of how we see things and how we do things. And I don't want to be served by a robot at a restaurant. And I will not use the self-serve checkout at a supermarket because I value human connection. So I just love the fact, though, that I have options and I can choose to do things in certain ways. And I'll give you an example of a way that I used ChatGPT last year. And I was in the South Island in a camper van with my daughter and my mother in New Zealand, and we were going to Cardrona. No, to Wanaka, but over the Cardrona, past the Cardrona Hotel. Anyway, it was absolutely horrendous, that road. And me driving this giant camper van, oh, honestly, secretly, I was panicking, hyperventilating. I was just in a terrible state, but I knew if not me, then who? I've just got to keep driving. So by the time I got there, I knew I had to come back. And I just thought, what am I going to do? So just secretly jumped onto ChatGPT, expressed how that had been to me, for me, and I said, and I need to go back. So what are my options? How do I deal with this? And it was just extraordinary. It gave me 3 different options. So go back, but ask someone to talk with you as you do it. Get distracted. Like, it was so clever in the way that it knew what I needed to be focusing on to actually cope with getting back. But it also gave me another option that was going to add 2 hours on my trip. But it just helped me think about, I don't have to be trapped with that one way back. So that's just an example of how to use it in a personal sense without even business. And yeah, for me, that was a massive help, and I wouldn't have had that help otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, isn't it, how AI can help us in the littlest things, but that make such a big impact in our lives.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right, Kylie, in your business, I love it how you talk about uncomplicating digital marketing. I want to move into that a little bit because that is your speciality, right? How does that actually look like for someone who's lost or feels totally lost in this world? And how do you use AI to uncomplicate marketing?
That's a great question. And I'm going to give you an example that I did 2 hours ago. So I was on Zoom on a one-on-one coaching call with a client, and she has an e-commerce business. So I work about 50-50 with service-based businesses and e-commerce. And so we jumped on this call and she said, I've got this fantastic new stockist in the US, but she's not very happy with my current ordering system. She wants to do it online. How can we do that on my website? So we jumped into the back end of her website. I showed her how to do a draft order in that way, create a discount code for that stockist, etc. And this particular client, I know, doesn't find writing very easy. She's not very confident with her writing skills. So I said, and now let's open up AI, and I'll just put a little blurb in there of the sort of thing that you want to say about, for example, you can only use credit card, don't use PayPal or Afterpay or else you'll be charged more. We jumped into AI, we put all the bits out there, and I then was able to create a document for her because I knew she wouldn't be able to remember all these steps of all the things to do. So I did some screenshots of my process that I'd just done with her, created this document, copied and pasted from AI, the little blurb in there, and then created this beautiful step-by-step process for her. So I completely uncomplified the how do I do this, and how am I going to remember how to do it now that you've shown me? And then I put that document into AI and said, is there any way that we could even improve this system or improve the process? And it came back with a couple of little tweaks, which I made, and she was thrilled. So that's just one tiny example that took a very short amount of time and made her super confident moving forward with her clients.
It is. It makes, truly, for me, even from my perspective, AI makes things so simple and definitely uncomplicates things when you know how to use it.
Yes, I'll give you another example with it that I also did this morning a little earlier with a client, and that was looking at how her Meta ads had performed. So I went into Meta ads or Facebook ads, exported out all the ad campaigns that we'd been working on, and put that spreadsheet into AI and said, can you please write a very clear summary to someone that is not really very au fait with the jargon? So keep it simple, make it make sense, and show what's worked, what hasn't worked. And that was brilliant. So I just edited it a tiny bit, sent it to her, and she went, phew, I get it. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's double the spend. So I was like, that's great, because when people go in and take a look, they're so confused. It's just a world of mess. And we do these monthly reports, but I don't do my reports nearly as well as what that one did for me, where it just really made it clear. And we can all learn something from that, I think, to simplify things.
We can. And for anyone who is watching or listening to our podcast, if you really want to learn how to simplify your business, your marketing, your content creation using AI or not, do connect with Kylie. Oh my God, Kylie, you have a world of wisdom and knowledge with all things marketing. So thoroughly recommend reaching out to this beautiful woman. And what about for someone who's just starting their whole journey, whether it's their business journey, their marketing journey? And we know, as we know, it's all very complicated today, just general marketing, especially social media, because you've got so many different platforms and thousands of posts, probably millions. You would know more how many posts get done a day. And they want to bring in AI too, but they don't know how. So what's a simple way that they can begin to use AI to help them with their marketing, but in an ethical way without losing their uniqueness and their voice?
The first thing I would suggest is get a subscription for Magi. And I'm not making anything from Magi to share that information, but Magi is very clever, is that you get ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these other platforms inside it, the pro versions, and video making and graphics making, all for one subscription price. So that's really the first thing to do. But the gold that happens inside there is what I have built with my team, for example, which is called personas, which is similar to AI assistants, but they've also got personas that they've created themselves too. So you can go in there and just from day one of your business, you can choose the persona business advisor or brand name generator or any of these other personas. And you just jump in there and say, let's say you were opening up as a massage therapist. And you would say, help me. I'm just opening up my business and I don't even know where to start. And it would literally ask you, what are you doing? Where are you based? How do you feel about it? And then it would start this whole series of you answering questions that it's asking you. And then it would help you come up with a business plan. You then could download that, and that's somewhere to start. So even though you would edit that and you would change it and you would evolve it, it's a really good place to get a clear picture of where to go first. Then you could say, I want to just appeal to the local market, for example. Should I set up a market stall with a massage table and a tent and try and attract people those ways? Or should I go into a shared space, maybe with a naturopath and a acupuncturist? And it would ask you more questions. What kind of money have you got to spend up front? What kind of investment can you make? And so I think that's a really good place to start for someone new in business and open to using AI as a bit of a sounding board, going back and forth with a chat about it. That's for me where I would start.
Yes, you can have lots of very in-depth discussions with AI. That's my experience too, that you can have really good conversations and to become more clearer
Yes.
on what you want.
I think it's really important to mention that's not necessarily what you will go forward with or agree, but the fact that it can give you some ideas, I think that's the gold, is that to use it as a tool for helping you generate ideas. I think that's a very helpful thing that it does. And you can only get that by working with other people and getting lots of information. But here's this one tool that's sitting there in your lounge room on a computer in front of you. So, yeah.
Super handy when you know how to use it. Spending the time in learning about the prompts, which I know you help people with, will save you so much time afterwards.
So what we've done with now, so then in Magi, we can create our own personas. So, for example, I've created Beryl, who is the Hello Media content queen. And so she already knows that I want to use NLP and RTT language. She knows that I need a really good hook in the first line of a caption or a email subject line or something. She knows I need a call to action at the end to encourage people to take some kind of action, to book a call with me or buy a masterclass. So already she's also got my website in there. So she knows all the things. So then when it's time to write my prompt, all I've got to say is my new masterclass all about how to get found online is coming up in 2 weeks' time. Please write me some promo for it. And there it is, because Beryl already knew all the things that she needed to know about me. So it saves so much time because you're not starting from scratch every time.
And not trying to think about how to keep up.
Yes.
And talking about how to keep up, what's a common mistake that people make when they are trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the world and to be more visible?
That they stop. It's so common, Sophia, you wouldn't believe it. Because they're overwhelmed, because someone has told them you need to post on your socials every day, you need to send out a newsletter every week, you need to do this, write a blog, do this. And so instead of going, okay, thanks for that information, I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to think of one thing that I can do this week. But instead, they feel completely overwhelmed, so they just freeze and fight or flight, and then they just stop doing everything. So sometimes when they'll come to me on a discovery call and I'll say, so tell me where you're up to and where are people finding you online? And they're like, I've got this and this. So I've got my socials, I've got this. I've got an email marketing platform set up. When was the last time you emailed your audience? 6 months ago. When was the last time you posted on your Facebook? A year ago. So, but you've got all these things sitting there ready to go to reach these people that want to hear from you, and you've literally just frozen. So I think that the overwhelming problem is that it just feels like there's too much to do. So really making a little snackable amount that you can cope with and go, okay, my little snack that I'm going to do this week is one Facebook post, one Instagram post, and a newsletter. That's all I'm going to handle this week. Or my personal favorite is this month, this is my blog topic. From that blog topic, I'm going to create loads of content for my socials and for my email marketing. I'm then going to schedule all that content, and then I'm going to sit back and not have to do any more for another 3 weeks. So that's my favorite word, is repurposing. So create that one piece of content to start with, that blog, and then from there you get so much out of it to use.
Yeah, and when you know how to repurpose content, whether it's a blog, whether it's videos and everything else, and you can keep going for however long that you need to. And like you said, take a lot of time off so you don't get overwhelmed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what about for someone who is struggling, well, you may have just answered it, with that inconsistent Where should they start to bring back that clarity? Is it just
Monday. Sorry, carry on, finish.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, is it just, whatever they can do each week? Or do you recommend a particular platform? Is email, we've heard that email is the key because you get a lot of sales, or you can get a lot of sales through emails, or is it one particular social media platform?
What I love about email is that it sits in your inbox until it's deleted. Whereas if you post on Facebook today and I don't look at it till tonight or tomorrow, I've missed your post.
Yeah.
So I think a hybrid of all the things. But firstly, I would say, take it right back and say, what am I going to do on Monday? And on Monday, I'm going to put out one post. That's all. And I will cross-purpose it from Facebook to Instagram, perhaps. And that's all I'm going to manage today. But I'm going to make sure that I also do some scrolling on my newsfeed, some engaging with other people, maybe share a couple of other people's posts into my stories. That's very nice and a giving thing to do. And then I'm going to save my own post, share my post into my stories, and then maybe log off and go, well done, me. So what that's doing is it's telling the algorithm that you're there, that you're involved. Yes, you've posted, but you're also being social on social media. You've been giving by sharing other people's things. And then you've finished. You've moved on to whatever else you're doing in your business. And so if you only do that on a Monday, that's a great start, or a Wednesday, whatever day works for you. But I think the problem arises when you think, I've got to do something every day. And not everybody can do that, because we also need to work on our business, not just in our business racing around doing all the things.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about engaging. How important is engaging on other people's content for the results that you want?
There's a little line or 3 words, or 4 words, don't post and ghost. So those that create some content, schedule it so they're not even actually on there, and then that's it. That's all they do. So that's actually not a very friendly way of running your business, for starters. So you want to make sure, my little sneaky tip would be 10 minutes before you post, or 10 minutes before your content schedule, just jump online, do a little bit of scrolling your feed, do a little love, do a little comment or an emoji, share one of them into your stories, then your post goes up. So already that algorithm knows that you're there, you're hanging out with people, and then they're going to be more likely to see your content when it's posted 10 minutes later.
It just takes a little bit of time.
10 minutes a day. I always suggest that 10 minutes a day per platform that you're choosing to be on. So it's actually not a lot.
No.
People think I'm on it all the time, but I'm really not. I've got 2 set times a day that I'm on it, and generally never for more than half an hour. So I'm probably on it less than most people, actually.
Especially in today's world. Thank you. And what about for you, Kylie, if I can ask you personally? You've been doing this, as you said, for over 20 years. What's one belief or value that has really stayed constant for you, even in the changing world, even as everything changes? What's one belief or value that is being in your heart?
That it's all about connection.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll give you a little backstory. So when my husband was doing that year in hospital, Facebook was just brand new. Like, it had just started the year before. It wasn't even really so much being used in Australia. And I realized within a couple of months that I was very exhausted at the end of the day. So we'd had to move up to Brisbane because we live just outside of Byron Bay. So the hospital that he was flown to was a spinal unit in Brisbane. So I had to move up there with our young daughter. I didn't know anyone. Hospital is a very busy, very active place to be. And so I was learning all the things every day. And then I'd get home and all our family and friends and everybody would want to know what was happening. And it was exhausting. And I didn't even feel like talking on the phone after I'd put her to bed. And it was just too much. So, of course, Facebook was brand new. So I got myself on there and got everybody that I knew to go on there. And I would just do a little daily update. And it was a game changer because I could share photos, share little blurbs of things, and people felt connected and they felt that they were being part of it. I also had a blog that I was writing as well, but I was a bit sporadic with that. But these Facebook posts I could do regularly and people really loved it. So within a couple of months, Facebook groups came out. So I started one of the first and called it Spinal Cord Injury Journey, Quadriplegia. And it had thousands of people in this group very quickly. And what an amazing experience that was for me. I'm now a huge advocate for every business needs a Facebook group. Every organization needs a Facebook group. Because the way I explain it is that the Facebook group and the Facebook page, like people often say to me, why would I need a group? I've already got a page. But the way I think about it is the page is your front yard, the group is your backyard. So in the front yard, people are looking at, are my lawns mowed? Is the house tidy and neat? Is there rubbish tipped all over the ground? You know, what does it look like from the outside? But the backyard is where people connect. And it's where you can offer a drink or a cup of tea. You could have a party. You could have just a nice little intimate gathering. You could maybe have a pool in the backyard and invite people over for a splash. There's so many fun things that will go in the backyard, but you'd be introducing people to each other. That's really all about the connection. So for me, with that spinal cord injury group that I had, what an incredible opportunity to connect with people all over the world who are either living with a spinal cord injury or a family member or a friend, and we could all be sharing and learning together. And because it's private, we can talk about stuff in there that you cannot talk about anywhere else. And I felt incredibly isolated, even though I had beautiful friends and family supporting me. But the sort of things that I needed to talk about was just not stuff that they really got, but they got it inside the Facebook group. So I feel that there's been a lot of bad press. People say a lot of bad things about social media. And I'm like, if you can use it for what it was intended for, which is social on social media, and find groups that are really meaningful to you, like yours, for example, then those connections that you make can change your life.
Yeah, certainly can. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I totally agree. It really is about connections, and it's using these social media platforms and using the technology to help bring people closer when it's needed. Thank you. And thank you for sharing a little bit about Richard and the fact that he had his accident 18 years ago, and that must have been a huge, as you said, event and huge stress for you. But how has that affected you? How has that part of living with Richard and helping him recover from his accident, how has that part really shaped your life in how you approach business now?
Ooh, I think I said it earlier, a little line that if it's going to be, it's up to me. And that's what it is. I have you might say the burden, or you might say the opportunity. It's really whichever way you like to look at it, but to support my family completely, entirely on my shoulders. So, like many other people out there, they often don't have a backstop and someone else who's also bringing in an income, etc. So that's probably the first big thing, is that I have to make it work. Failing is not an option. And so I think that changes the way you approach business, because I think for a lot of people, if it's a bit of a hobby business and they don't have to earn the money, then it can really go along or mosey along at a certain pace for a very long time without really booming. But I knew it had to boom. So the first business that I had, that market business that I bought, I built that up into something quite extraordinary and had shops, hundreds and hundreds of shops all over Australia, New Zealand, and a distributor in Korea stocking my products. I went from it being 2 products to 160 products that I was designing. I left Australia. So instead of manufacturing in Australia as it was, because of the size that I was growing it to, I then manufactured completely fair trade, and I absolutely loved that journey. So I think that's been the biggest change, is that I just knew, again, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I was determined to make it work. So that's not saying that I wouldn't have done something like that before, or that I wouldn't have been as motivated and inspired to really make something work and prosper. But certainly that's been a big driving force behind me. And the other thing is that I've needed to work from home always. So I've absolutely, and I need to be there for him because many things arise very often. So I have really loved being able to be there through my daughter's schooling. I could be the mother helper and go on excursions and things, because then I would just work through the night. And she's at university now, but my goodness, we've just had this amazing opportunity. He's been around instead of just being off at work endlessly, which he would have been otherwise. So there's been incredible opportunities that have come along for a simpler life, I think, and one that we're incredibly grateful for.
There is, if I can say, blessings in everything, even the most extreme events, the most extreme accidents. But if you can see the benefit in things and really make the most of it. So again, thank you so much for sharing, Kylie. How do you balance it all? Because in today's world, it's a bit crazy out there. We're inundated with so much. You have a business. You're a mother, even if your daughter is off to university. Your husband has very unique needs, special needs, and many people struggle with balance. How do you balance it all, and what have you learned about keeping boundaries?
Funny topic. I just wrote a blog about balance and boundaries. And last week I ran a luncheon, a positive power lunch, it's called. It was online. And that was the topic, was boundaries and balance. And I started my talk with, I'm not really sure I'm the right person to be running this, because I realized last night when I was working till midnight, I haven't really nailed my boundaries and my balance. But this is what I've learned along the way for when I have times where I am really under the pump with getting a project finished or whatever. Then I do have balance, because, for example, every Wednesday night I leave work at a reasonable hour and I go to ukulele, strum and sing. And on the drive there, that's when I'll call my mum. So I'm doing a good 20-minute catch up with her. And then I get to ukulele, and because I'm so bad at it, I can't just let my mind wander. I've got to focus on my chords and all the things. So that's a really good mental health strategy for me. The other thing I do is aqua yoga. I try to do that at least twice a week, but that's at a tricky time. I don't get to choose the time, and it starts at 9:30, so I have to leave at 9 in the morning. So on those days, I start work at 6 a.m., work till 9, take a couple of hours out in the morning, and then come back and do a long day. The other thing I do is I only work 4 days a week, and in fact, my entire team, we only work 4 days a week. So we do very long days, Monday to Thursday. So we still do a full week, but then everybody has a 3-day weekend, and we love it. So while I may not be very good at balances and boundaries, I'm working on it.
And it's good to know that you are working on it, and it's really good to know about the 4-day working week, so you get to take 3 days off to spend with you and your family and everything. Personally feel that's something that the whole world can adopt, 3-day weekends. And just thank you again for sharing. May I assume that your ukulele playing is something that really anchors you, especially when it feels, in moments that it feels very overwhelming?
Yes. And I must be honest that I think my little office here, it's a little bit away from the house. I can't hear the stuff going on inside the house while I'm out here. And my Zoom with clients, etc., that's actually what really anchors me. So I've got that process. So I get dressed for work. I don't just sit here in my pajamas, and I leave the house. I unlock the door to come into this. I call it my cubby house because it's like I'm coming in here to play. And then I jump on Zoom with either my team or I'm my group coaching that I'm taking or a one-on-one session. And I feel like that's a massive blessing for me because I actually really love my work. So I feel very fortunate to have that. So I would say that's probably one of my biggest anchors. And yes, the ukulele for sure. But one funny thing is that I just truly haven't got that much better after all these years. And I think it's because my brain is quite full. And I'm not a natural musician. So new chords and all that are just not, it's just not coming so easily for me. But I really love that because generally speaking, I can be quite good at things if I set my mind to it. But this, I just can't. And I still persevere because I find so much joy in it. So that's been a very good lesson is do something just purely for joy, not because you're good at it.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it boils down to.
Yes, and again, totally agree. Thank you for sharing that because it is really joy that helps us in our life, in everything. All the challenges that we have, if we can find something that brings us joy, like I said, even if we're not very good at it, but just makes us laugh and smile, it is such a foundation to our life. And I'm looking forward to the day, Kylie, that I get to actually experience your ukulele playing.
Yeah.
All right, just before we wrap up, I'd love to know a few quick questions. What is one word that you would use to describe your approach to marketing?
Fun.
But make it fun. And I think you've already told this, but what's the one AI tool that you can't live without right now?
Oh, actually, it's ChatGPT on my phone. So while I use Magi and within that ChatGPT and all of those inside that for my working computer, but on my phone, the ChatGPT app, when I say, I've got these 4 ingredients, give me some inspiration of what I could cook. I just love using it for that kind of a thing.
For all sorts of things, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you never know how quick it can be and all the different suggestions that it comes up with.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the biggest myth about personal branding?
Oh, that you need to show up with your face every day and do things that you're not comfortable with.
Okay, righty, and that is a myth.
Absolutely.
Okay, because yes, that's another thing. So tell us about the things that you're not comfortable with, if I may.
That I'm not comfortable with showing up with my face talking about blah blah. And so many people in my industry are saying you have to go live multiple times a day, you have to post 20 stories a day of your life and share. Firstly, my family doesn't want to be shown online particularly, so I can't use them as fodder for my socials like many other people can. And secondly, my clients don't necessarily want to have their results splashed around on social media. So then I'm haven't got that fodder to use either. And I don't want to share pictures of meals or here's my dog doing this or whatever. Like every now and then, yes. But is it relevant really to do that very often? No. So yeah, I think that A, I'm not comfortable with it. B, I just don't really want to do it. So I've had to come up with a way that I can still show up online every day, but do it in a way that I'm comfy with. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Do it in a way that you're comfortable with. You know, push a few little boundaries to help you grow, but you have to be comfortable with whatever you do.
Absolutely. And if you're having fun with it, then that shows.
That shows, yeah. And what's the most underrated digital platform that small business owners can use or are not using?
I would have to say, if you'd asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said Airtable. But Canva, with its latest update, has introduced Canva Sheets, which is very similar to Airtable. So I'm in the process of moving some of my Airtable documents over to it to see how I'm enjoying it. And at the moment, it's definitely missing a few little things, but really, it's extraordinary. So it would have been Airtable. Maybe it still will be, but if Canva don't raise their game on this, but if not, then it's definitely Canva.
Good. I will check that out. Tell us about a book or a podcast that you've listened to or read that has deeply inspired you on your business journey.
Oh, let me just read it to you. I've got one that I've just finished, and that is called Sell Like Crazy. Now, I can't say it's the best in the world, but I've been enjoying it. I enjoyed parts of it. And there's another one there called Troll Hunting. Now, I was given that years ago when I was having issues online, and I have never read the full thing. I would pick it up and read little bits of it and go, oh, yes. So it's been really helpful because I'm pretty sure everybody in your audience will have had some experience of just toxic, horrible stuff that can go on social media. So I've really liked little aspects of that and giving me little strategies to cope.
Good, thanks. And of course, you've got the Hello Media podcast as well.
Yes, size business I do with a colleague, and that's a really fun one. We talk about different aspects of business every time we jump on together. And I do a Hello You podcast a bit sporadically at the moment as we're doing a bit of a relaunch, but that's really enjoyable, and just interviewing people 15 minutes, buff, power chat.
That's it. That's all it takes. And again, we'll be putting all your links down below, so do check out the Bite Size podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
And what's one piece of tech that you wish didn't exist?
It would also be what's one piece of tech that I wish did, but it's a did and it didn't, and that's my phone.
No.
So I love it. I love my phone, but I also am very strict on my phone.
Yes.
And often wish it didn't exist.
Yes.
So, for example, in the evening, when I lock up my office and I go inside, I put my phone away. Yes. And I will spend a good couple of hours with my family. And sometimes it's just watching a movie or something, but it's just really important to me that and the other thing is I always have my notifications off. So I'm not just distracted by, oh, there's something, there's another thing. So I wish that didn't exist, but I also am very grateful for its existence.
Yes, it's keeping that balance.
Indeed.
So important. And just if I can ask for you to finish this sentence, because I think it's a nice one, is authenticity in the marketing world. What does that mean?
Not buying into the crap and feeling like you've then also got to add more crap to it. That whole thing around you must post every day or you must add to your stories every hour or something, that just adds to the crap. And there's so much noise there that really make what you're sharing of value. So I like that word edutaining. So if you are in your business in particular, edutaining in your posts, so entertaining or educating or both, 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you'd be selling. And most people are really selling to you, at you, 100% of the time. So if you can remove that and show how you offer value or how what you have solves problems, etc., what the benefits are to people, that's a whole lot nicer way to be on social media than it is to be selling at people all the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Kylie. It has been an absolute wonder talking to you. And before we wrap up, one last question. And is there any question that I could have asked you? And how would you answer?
Oh, you could have asked me, do you have an exit plan? Do you have something that you want to do in the future or the distant future or the near future if you're not doing what you're doing now?
Can I laugh really quickly? Because I had a question here that yes, for everyone who's watching, I have used ChatGPT to come up with some of these questions. But I had this question is, if you weren't running Hello Media, what would you be doing?
I, many years ago, wanted to start a business And basically, it would be a website where I'm connecting quadriplegics around the world with engineers or inventors. And I would want this website to be an all-encompassing everything. Every single thing for a quadriplegic. My husband's at C4-5 level. So he can use one wrist, but he can't use any fingers or hands, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. So that one wrist means that he can hold a water bottle because he can do that and that. So he can brush his own teeth with an electric toothbrush because he does that with his wrist, and we slot the toothbrush in. So there would be hundreds of things out there that he would potentially improve his life dramatically if A, we knew about them, B, there was funding for people or ways for people to connect with people that could invent stuff. So if you listen to the person with a disability and say, I don't know how this could work, but I wish I could do this, and that person that could come up with the idea of how to do it would work with them. So that's what I wanted to do. So, for example, clothing designers, because it's very difficult to put regular clothes on them. Yeah. And they need to be huge sizes because of the way he sits, for example. And so there'll be like a 7XL, even though he's nowhere near that. So, yeah, everything from clothing to travel to this to that. That's what I'd like to do. And yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon, though.
You never know.
You never know.
What the universe can bring you as you just put it out there. And you never know the opportunity. So for anyone who is listening, who has an interest in that, or maybe can help Kylie in fulfilling her passion and her dream to helping other people who are quadriplegic to make their life easier, get in touch. Kylie said, it has been a wonder. It has been an absolute honour. Please come back so we can have a part 2. And next time, bring your ukulele with
you. Thanks, Sophia. It's been wonderful to hang out with you.
Thank you. Kylie's final thoughts truly encapsulate the essence of today's conversation. Authenticity in marketing means not buying into the noise, but instead choosing to add real value through connection and service. If today's discussion sparks something in you, take it as a sign to slow down, stay human, and simplify your message. If you would love to explore more of Kylie's work further, be sure to check out Hello Media, her group coaching, and her bite-sized business podcast. Whether you are a service-based entrepreneur or an e-commerce brand, Kylie's unique approach to digital storytelling and tech empowerment will help you feel confident, connected, and in control. All the links are below. And at Sacred You, we are committed to creating a space where women from all over the world can support, uplift, and empower each other. Visit our website to explore upcoming workshops, events, and community offerings. Check us out at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love. And as always, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. Your journey to aligned visibility is already unfolding. Trust yourself, uncomplicate your message, and take the next small step, whether it's a Facebook post, an email, or simply showing up in a way that feels good to you. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep walking your pathway to well-being. Thank you.